Let's do it the easy way this time, Reacher.
No.
Well, that escalated fast. 3 episodes of Reacher Season 4 were spent building this slow burn conspiracy. A dead clerk, a missing flash drive, and a senator with a secret. And then Episode 4 just casually reveals a second body, confirms Ben is dead, and ends with 2 women we thought were victims pulling curved knives out of their pockets like it's nothing. Bits and Pieces doesn't tie up loose threads, it cuts new ones open. I've got a lot to unpack here, including a theory about who Leela and Amisha actually are that's going to change how you watch the rest of this season. Let's get into it. This is a full review for Reacher Season 4, Episode 4, Bits and Pieces. If you're not caught up through this episode, this is your last chance to bail before we go deep. We pick up right where we left off. Nolan's body on the pavement outside the hotel and John Sampson suddenly needing to explain to a Baltimore detective why his chief of staff just swan-dived off a roof rather than answer a simple question. John, to his credit, doesn't run from the mess. His security detail wants him tucked away out of camera range. His wife, Elspeth, is pushing the same advice a little more gently, and John just refuses. Says he served with Nolan, and he's not going to disappear the second things get ugly. Instead, he takes Reacher to a nearby bar to wait out the press, which is really just John buying himself time before the interrogation he knows is coming. And a couple of beers in, Reacher flips the question around. What would push John himself to jump off a roof? Because whatever answer applies to John probably applies to Nolan too. The fastest way to understand a man who won't talk is to ask what would break the man sitting across from you. That's when the real story comes out. Years ago, John and Nolan were part of a supposedly harmless science expedition to Indonesia for malaria research or something like that. And as a courtesy to the host government, American soldiers gave a local commander named Putra some basic combat training. Nothing sinister on paper. Except Putra took that training and used it to slaughter his own political dissidents the second the Americans packed up and left. Reacher's response is the most quietly savage line of the episode, pointing out how conveniently America always manages to teach the wrong people the wrong things and then plead innocence once the bodies start piling up. John doesn't really argue with that. He just wants Reacher to understand that once Washington found out what Putra had done, they tried to make it right, which in John's mind clears him and Nolan of any real blame. Reacher's not buying full absolution though, because that explanation still doesn't answer the actual question. Why was Nolan tailing Anna the night she died? And why did both of them choose the exact same way out? John asks Reacher to hand over the flash drive once he finds it, on the grounds that it's technically federal property. Reacher, unsurprisingly, tells him that's a decision for later after he's actually seen what's on it. Walking back afterward, Elspeth catches him outside and tells him to steer clear of this entire situation, which Reacher also unsurprisingly has no intention of doing. He even asks Springfield, John's head of security, for a ride back to the hotel, fully expecting to get turned down. He's not wrong. Sometimes you ask a question just to watch someone say no to your face. That walk turns into an ambush. The same CIA crew that grabbed him earlier this season tries again, except this time Reacher lures them into a fishing yard and absolutely dismantles them. Turns out the plan this round wasn't even to recapture him. The lead operative admits they just wanted to hurt him badly enough to get answers about the drive. Reacher, characteristically, isn't interested in being the one who gets interrogated, so he cuffs the guy, strips him of his gear, and just walks away. Every time someone tries to grab Reacher, they walk away wishing they'd stayed home. While all that's happening, Jacob, Tamara, and Russell are staking out a government warehouse, the address tied to that Pentagon badge they found in Anna's abandoned car. Russell's theory is that this place is a document purging facility where old physical files get digitized and then shredded to free up storage. Only one way to confirm it. They lift a badge off an employee grabbing breakfast at a nearby diner, and Tamara walks in cold, posing as Anna's replacement. It works. She confirms Anna really did work there, and while digging through old records, she notices something that shouldn't be possible. A file that's not just been purged physically, wiped digitally too. No paper trail, no backup. Gone. Before she can dig any further, the real badge owner shows up, and Tamara has to bail, but not before pocketing a framed photo of Jacob, Anna, and Ben off Anna's old desk. Small detail, but it hits harder than it should. The 3 of them peel out and get stuck in traffic on the way back to Philly. That's when Tamara calls Reacher with the update, and he immediately connects the dots that the deleted file is almost certainly the exact thing sitting on that missing flash drive. Working out where the traffic jam is, Reacher realizes it lines up with a subway stop near where Anna eventually boarded her train, which means Anna wasn't randomly wandering into that subway car. She got stuck in that same jam, ditched her car, and ran for the nearest train because she was racing a deadline. Quick pause before we get to the part of this episode that's going to wreck you. If you want the episode 5 breakdown the moment it dropped, go ahead and subscribe to Movie Break now. Alright, let's finish this. While everyone's waiting around for Reacher, Jacob starts spiraling, quietly convinced that his nephew is already dead. Tamara tries to talk him off that ledge, but honestly this episode doesn't give Jacob the mercy of being wrong. Once Reacher arrives, the group finally puts the whole timeline together. Someone took Ben. Anna was told to hand over that flash drive to buy his life back. She was late because of traffic. She called to check on her son and learned he was already gone, and that's the moment she stopped trying to save him and started planning to kill whoever did it. She ditched the drive somewhere along the way and boarded that train already past the point of return. Reacher, without meaning to, just happened to be the stranger who called himself a cop at the exact wrong moment. She wasn't choosing death over a bomb threat. She was choosing it over living with what she'd failed to stop. She wasn't spiraling because of Reacher. She was already gone before he ever sat down next to her. And then the call comes in. Ben's body has been found. Confirmed. Jacob doesn't scream or argue. He just walks away in silence, which is somehow worse than if he'd broken down completely. While Tamara and Russell stay with Jacob for the identification at the morgue, Reacher and Leela head to the hotel where Anna's mail might be waiting. A long shot but worth chasing. It goes nowhere. What isn't a dead end is the pair of assassins who show up outside, the same ones from the bowling alley ambush. Reacher gets Leela onto a subway car alone, tells her he'll meet her back at her hotel, and then goes to work on the two men tailing them. Both end up dead. Police start closing in, and Reacher lifts a radio off one of the bodies before slipping away. A nice little touch, watching him improvise his way out of an arrest in real time. Back at the morgue, there's a detail buried in the coroner's report that reframes the entire season. The murder weapon used on Ben matches the one used on the dead OnlyFans model from episode 2. It's a karambit, a curved blade with roots in Indonesia, which, if you've been paying attention to literally everything John just confessed about Putra, should make the hair on your arms stand up. Reacher, listening in on the stolen radio, realizes the assassins are closing in on Leela's hotel room, and he starts sprinting to beat them there. He doesn't make it in time. Leela and Amisha get back to their room to find both bodyguards already dead and a squad of knife-wielding attackers waiting for them. Except instead of panicking, the two of them pull matching karambits out of their own pockets and calmly get ready to fight. Reacher shows up seconds later to an empty room and a pile of dead assassins. No Leela, no Amisha, just bodies and Reacher standing there as the only living person at the scene of a very fresh massacre, which is exactly when the police arrive to arrest him. Everything about Leela and Amisha has been a lie from the moment they walked into this show. The leukemia story, the paternity story, even the journalist exposing war crimes story. So why would the karambit reveal be any different? If they've lied about everything else, why would this be the one truth they've told us? Here's my read. I don't think Leela and Amisha are victims chasing justice at all. I think they're connected to Putra directly, maybe his family, and they've come to America to settle a score with every American who trained him, used him, and then abandoned him the second things got politically inconvenient. That would explain the total lack of hesitation over using Ben as leverage, and the complete absence of guilt when he ended up dead anyway. That's not the behavior of grieving activists. That's the behavior of people who already decided the ends justify absolutely anything. There's a slightly softer version of this theory too, that they really are victims of Putra's crime, just so consumed by getting to John that Ben's life became an acceptable cost along the way. Either red leads to the same place. Everyone in this story, including Reacher, just got a brutal reminder that the people who look the most sympathetic are usually hiding the sharpest knife. This is easily the darkest turn the season's taken so far, and it's the first episode where I genuinely don't know who's supposed to be the villain anymore. Ben's death lands hard, John's confession recontextualizes everything we thought we understood about this conspiracy, and that karambit reveal at the very end completely upends how we should be reading Leela and Amisha going forward. Reacher Season 4 just proved it's not afraid to hurt its own supporting cast to keep raising the stakes, and I'm fully locked in for wherever it goes next. Who do you think Leela and Amisha really are? Victims or something a lot more dangerous? Drop your theory in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to catch my episode 5 breakdown the second it drops. Thanks for watching.